generally is there's a, and I'll talk more about this once we get on the record, is there's a court reporter who will record your comments if you have comments to make to the board about the project. But I know for some of you this is an opportunity to speak to the developer, and he's aware of that, and he's here to answer your questions. I think what I'd like to do is stay off the record for a little while, so that if you do have questions or issues with what he's given you or other questions, you can talk right to Brad about it. Or if you have questions for Jeannie Lyons. Jeannie is the representative of the Department of Public Service, who is the state's representative in the process. I'm Mike Townsend. I'm the hearing officer in the case for the Public Service Board. So if you have questions for Brad, now's a good time for that. I'll ask first, is there anybody now that knows they want to make comments to the board? You do? Okay. Well, let me go ahead. You could just, I have to get your full name because it has to be recorded and all. And she needs to see it so she knows who's talking. But we'll get that right now. If there's anybody else that does want to speak, you can go ahead and sign it as well. But if you have questions for right now, you can ask those. All yours. They're all theirs.
Yeah, available for questions. Was just chatting with a number of you just a little while ago. But happy to answer any other questions about the project that you might have. Just let me know.
I have a couple of questions about the stream that goes through there.
Stream.
The stream? I mean, this is going to affect the stream, and where we were today didn't quite seem right to me. But could you point out where that stream goes through?
Well, we currently don't have a stream that goes through the property.
Stream is down on my property.
Right. Okay, so that's over here then.
It's down in here somewhere.
Okay, that's why.
The site has been fully wetlands delineated and been confirmed by state wetlands agency. We would not be impacting any wetlands footprint of this project.
Somebody racing out there? In a hybrid. Perhaps a question. So we'll defer to Landon until this person shows up, or anyone else, just so he has a chance to answer your questions. I just kicked it off a couple minutes ago and saw you coming in a lot. I'll probably hold off for a second.
All right.
What we're doing just now, is a public hearing. Usually the way I like to do public hearings is if people from the public have questions about the project, this is an opportunity to ask the developer those questions. If you don't have questions, then we'll go ahead and I have one individual who signed up to speak. If there's anybody else that wants to speak, we'll take your name and then we'll go on the record and take your comments. Did you have any questions or comments?
I mean, yeah, just some as far as like what the visual layout is, as far as, you know, how visual is it going to be from Route 7?
Yeah.
Brought some site plans.
what's going to be removed as far as vegetation from what's existing?
Sure. The current footprint, it calls for, I believe, between 14 and 15 acres of timber clearing.
So as far as on the south side of it, is there going to be much that's left?
On our property, no.
Okay.
Well, there is that area that will be irrigation, so.
That's correct. Mike makes a good point. If you see the southeastern corner of the property, there's a 1 to 2 acre area that is earmarked for species mitigation. That will not be cleared.
Okay. Do you know, is there existing vegetation that's in front of that? Like, how visible is it going to be as you're driving on, Route 7 and
Right.
from the entering in from the state
Right.
on 279?
So when we filed our petition for a certificate of public good, we included testimony by an aesthetics expert, and he looked at that specifically. And I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's a number of seconds, less than a minute, as you drive down Route 7, that the project would be visible if you're traveling in the direction.
Is there any kind of detailed report of that visual aesthetics that we can?
There is, and it's on file with our petition for certificate of public good, which I know you can get through contacting the state.
There also should be a copy of the petition here with the town,
Okay.
so that you shouldn't have to go to Montpelier. You should be able to go to
The
the town of Bennington and
Yes.
review what you're looking for. My name is Jeannie Elias, and I work for the State of Vermont Department of Public Service. We're a party in this proceeding, but we're not the developer. We're not the board that makes the decision. We represent the public at large, but at large. So you should be able to get the aesthetics report that was prepared by the petitioner's aesthetics expert, Mark Keane, from the town, that will specifically address your questions about the visibility of the project. There are attached to that aesthetic report, I think, some photographs and visual simulations about here's what this will look like from here. But
I
given
think
that
he took pictures from like 8 or 10 different locations and did like simulations in front of them, so you can sort of get a sense as to what they look like.
This is the second part of this project. There are two different projects. There's Chelsea Solar and then Apple Hill. And so the total land cleared for both projects is about 27 acres.
So where's the other one going on this plot?
Yes, right here.
Well, there's an uncleared area shown on the site plan.
It's right
I
here.
do have to say we're here to discuss the Apple Hill project tonight.
This whole thing.
Well, just so he has an understanding of
Absolutely,
what I'm
that's what we'll
saying.
point out the uncleared areas.
Okay. Thank you.
The expert was, what did you say his name was?
Mark King,
Kane?
K-A-N.
just so, because we're having this informal conversation, and because more information is better, the state has retained the services of an aesthetic expert to review this project and its adherence with the state's aesthetic standard for utility projects, which is the same aesthetic standard that's used in Act 250 projects. And she reviews the testimony of the expert, and she conducted a site visit today with me and the project manager a little bit before the other site visit because she had a conflict. So issues about visibility of the site from vantage points such as the Welcome Center on Route 7 and public highways and public vantage points, including the Bennington Battle Monument, are going to be part of her review. So that is one area that my department is required by law to look at under the citing criteria that are listed in the statute that gives the permits, that sets out the permitting process, 30 VSA 248. So that's always an issue of concern for utility projects, meaning generation as well as GMP. So any kind of electricity creation, we are looking into the aesthetics of the project.
When and where will that report be available?
I didn't say that we would prepare a report. I said that we would conduct a review. It remains to be seen how the results of that review will be documented. What happens first is I have a conversation with our aesthetics expert and ask, what do you think about this project and the testimony that you read at the site visit that you conducted, and where do you think this project fits in the aesthetic criteria under the law? Do you think it's in compliance? Do you think it's not in compliance? And then the department makes a decision about how to proceed. We have an opportunity to ask questions in discovery coming up, and that's certainly something that we do if there are unanswered questions about the aesthetics. If we want more aesthetics simulations, for example, this project is challenging because it's currently a wooded site, and so where oftentimes parties can take a photograph of an empty field and then computer-assisted design put in a solar field that will be very close to what it will really look like. Not so much with this site because of the wooded nature of the current property. So after we determine what information, if any, we need in the discovery process, then we'll determine whether we will file testimony in the case in chief, basically. So we haven't made that decision because I haven't talked to the aesthetics expert. She hasn't finished her review. So I don't know. So there's not necessarily always testimony by the department. There can be. And there's not necessarily always a report by our expert. There's an opinion developed, but it's not always reduced to a written report.
So one other question too is what's happening with the renewable energy credits? If this is going to be possibly some may call it an eyesore on Vermont as we come in. Are the energy credits staying in Vermont, or are they being sold out of state, then not counting towards our renewable energy goals in the state?
Right. Well, the project was awarded a power purchase agreement being administered by VEP through the Vermont SPEED program.
Also known as a standard offer contract.
Yes.
Power purchase agreement, if you're familiar with any of the laws, these things get given different names, but it's also called a standard offer contract. Same thing.
The RECs are transferred to VEP under that contract, and then what they do with them is
They're transferred
So
to
that's
who?
a state entity, the
State,
Vermont,
yes.
Vermont Energy, it's VEPI actually, VEPPI. But it's the program that we're talking about, power purchase agreement, is a larger term. Standard offer contract is the specific one in Vermont. The legislature passed a law requiring the Public Service Board to offer contracts, to come up with a process. It used to be a lottery, and now it's a request for a proposal every year for a certain amount of megawatts of renewable power. And the parties that bid in the request for proposal at the lowest price win the contract. And the contracts are for 25 years, and they're for any number up to 2.2 megawatts power. But the RECs, the renewable energy credits that this gentleman was talking about, are retained by the state.
Okay.
Because we are paying, the contract is between we, the ratepayers, all of us, and the petitioner here, that we are going to buy, it'll be borne by each of the utilities within the state, proportionate load, but basically the state is going to buy all this power at a given price. The price that was put in the request for proposal that they said that they could build this facility for. What's that price for this?
off the top of my head, I don't know. I could look it up very easily.
14.9 cents?
It's somewhere around that neighborhood.
It was in the 13, 14 cent range.
Yes, and we could get you the exact number a little bit later, once I have time to get into my records. It's public record. It's not something we have an interest in keeping hidden.
Are there any other questions? Does anybody else besides Mr. Carroll want to speak? Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on the record now and give Mr. Carroll that opportunity. Good evening and thank you for being here. This is a public hearing on a petition of Apple Hill Solar LLC for a certificate of public good pursuant to 30 VSA Section 248, authorizing the installation and operation of a 2-megawatt solar electric generation facility to be located at 1133 Willow Road, Bennington, Vermont. I'm Mike Townsley, and I'm a hearing officer and staff attorney with the Public Service Board. The purpose of this hearing tonight is to provide an opportunity to hear input regarding the proposed Apple Hill Solar project. You may also comment by email to, this is the address, psb.clerk, C-L-E-R-K, at state.vt.us. Or you can mail it to Vermont Public Service Board at 112 State Street on the 4th floor, Montpelier, 05602. Tonight's public hearing is being transcribed by the court reporter. This transcript, along with all other comments received by the board by email or by regular mail, become part of the case's public file so that board members, staff, and the participants in the case can consider those comments. Although these public comments are part of the public record in the file, they are not part of the evidentiary record. Under Vermont law, the board's decision in this case can rely only on formal testimony from parties to the case and has been accepted into the evidentiary record. Nonetheless, the public comments are helpful in raising new issues of perspective that the board should consider. Quite often, the board will take the public comments and ask questions of the parties' witnesses to dig into those issues that the public has. So your public comments do often get translated into evidence if the board finds use and value in it. And these comments are often the basis for questions, as I just said. We just had a little bit of off-the-record discussion between the petitioner and the Department of Public Service, who are both here tonight, and their representatives here tonight. We'll now open the floor to public comment, and as I understand from the sign-up sheet, Mr. Carroll, you would like to have a few words. Please.
Hi, my name is Richard Carroll, and I was at the site today with you all, and one of my main concerns is the aesthetics that it's going to have on Bennington. It is going to be 27 acres. There's going to be clear cut that you can visually see so many locations. And if you, I live right in that neighborhood, and if you look at the elevations from the highway and from the rugby center, the elevations are great for planting trees that can grow to almost any height and still not shadow the solar panels along the whole corridor, both of the solar fields. There can be a lot of planting done that could actually make those disappear. It just takes good planning to go ahead and do that. And I hope that we've started a little conversation today about, what exactly can be done in the front to shield that, and also what can be done in the back to protect people's properties from the wind and the visual impact of looking underneath the solar panels. I think that those are two areas that are a must to do, putting in solar fields like this. So I hope that we can all get together and get some drawings, come up with some good plans that will make that aesthetically look good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that...
Yeah, I'll go on the public record with what it basically said.
I gotta get your full name, so she has it. Marcus?
Yeah. So Marcus Jones, here representing Joe and Mary Hall as owners of property directly across the highway from the project. And just basically to reiterate Mr. Carroll's point, that I strongly feel that there should be some planning of visual barriers so it's not so drastic. There's enough projects as you drive up the Route 7 corridor of solar installations, and I'm a big fan of solar, but let's try and do it in a way that doesn't make it so visually unappealing and just make it much more tasteful. And with the amount of land that it looks like is there, I know don't know all the details, but it seems like it would be pretty relatively doable to have it done in a good way so that everyone that's surrounding it, that lives around the project, is happy with the outcome as best as they can, and to have your guys' needs move forward. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yes, I would like to go on public record.
Why don't you just talk about just tell your name and all that.
Diana, Susie Martinara. And the second. We spoke with a gentleman from the Agency of Natural Resources, and that's your job, right?
No, I'm with the Vermont Department of Public Service. There's a different lawyer who's representing the Agency of Natural Resources in this case.
And Brad. My feeling is I have no issue with solar. Like the other gentleman, I'm a strong proponent of solar, but as everyone else has said, it's about site placement and solar array placement, and the process of this, by which these things are, the information is disseminated. There just doesn't seem to be a place where the average Joe can have a say when things are so far down the line. I mean, I think Brad said that it was 1 or 2 years prior to these types of hearings that the process has already gone on. You know, that's a long time. You're already there, and we are just hearing about it now. I understand that it's a business, it's a job, it's about making money in the state and about, it's a business. But the point is, the average person doesn't feel like they have a voice in this discussion. No one told me that my state was going to look like this, and I don't agree. I think there should be much better placement, much better screening and buffering. Wind is an issue. This is the gateway to Vermont and the southwestern corner, and we're going to look like a big solar panel. And I have no problem with solar, but the average consumer I don't believe really likes those solar panels. Thanks.
Anyone else have desire to speak?
Can you ask questions, or how does that?
Ask questions of whom?
Developer?
Okay, we'll go back off the record again for that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that was what we did in the beginning, and you can talk to him again later. But generally, this is the purpose of the record discussion is to get your comments, not to get the developer's comments. Okay. With that, if you're interested more in the process that goes into the review of these projects, I have a handout in here that's called the Citizens Guide to the Vermont Public Service Code Section 248 process. And they're also available online. With that, this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.